I wonder when I look at, all the activity, and this is across, all kind of the goal of trying to drive more broadband globally. Is it looking at the future, right? Are designs looking at the future to know fiber obviously can do a lot of things. And I mean, is by far, you can do a lot more applications. Wireless is amazing. You can do a lot of things with wireless. Do you feel like right now, what's more important, when you're designing networks and thinking about trying to implement technology? Is it, hey, I need access in the next 12, 24 months? Or is it, hey, I'm thinking about the next 10 years? And this is also like, the Elon Musk argument too. Like he's also, everybody throws out different arguments of why and when and all that. I'm just curious, like from a tribal perspective, what do you guys think?
Well, when we've worked with tribes, I think the answer has to be all, and we have to be creative with every single tribe, because the tribes are stuck like on these places that have the least density, which makes things hard to pay for and justify financially. They're in the worst geographies. So there's trees everywhere, or there's canyons, mesas, mountains, Death Valley, like all of these different things that you have to contend with. And I think so saying like it's a one size fits all from reservation to reservation and area to area just doesn't make any sense. I think you have to come in, because there's certain providers that come in and they're like, fiber is the only answer. And to me, like, you have to come in with an approach that says, we're going to look at the area, we're going to find out what the tribe wants, and then I think you have to tailor a solution. Because if there's 5 people that live up a canyon and you're like, well, that's an allotment for one thing. So you have to know something about like even tribal lands, like that's an allotment. Nobody else is ever building up there because that's their land. That's not even tribal land, it's an allotment. So that's different. And there's only going to be those families up there. We're not probably going to run fiber up there. So we'll get those guys with wireless, or maybe Elon Musk and Starlink or something like that. If it's hard to get them, if they're in the bottom of a canyon, maybe Starlink makes sense there. I don't know. But like, I think just saying it's like a one size fits all is really hard, because the terrain is so hard. If you're in Wyoming, it's different than Alaska, it's different than Utah. And you've got to be flexible. And I think that's one of the biggest things that sometimes companies forget, is its flexibility and creativity. Like I think Jesse said that earlier, you have to be creative, and maybe working with those tribes to figure out what are the right creative solutions to solve these problems. And it should be a mix most of the time. I think that's one thing I worry about with the grants, is you start to see some of the grants creep in with this stuff that really favors fiber to the home, which is awesome if you could do it. But like, if you get these places where it's 100 miles to 12 houses, fiber to the home is crazy. And then it's like, are you going to leave them out because they can't get fiber to the home? So I think that's where you gotta, like, there's got to be a little bit of more thought and nuance to it than just saying like, the Indian country is the same as the rest of the country. And even in Colorado, like, people will confuse the Ute Mountain Ute and the Southern Ute, and they're right next to each other, and they're 2 Ute tribes, and like they're very different. Their terrain is very different. Their tribal government is very different, and they're right next to each other. They're sister tribes, and they're very different. And people will forget that, because they're like, I don't know, they both say Ute, and they must be the same.
I can go off on this.
Please do.
All right, I drink.
You've been quiet, so.
Yeah, that's never said. Going to Justin's point, I was just in Shishmaref. This is a community that, because of climate change, they're going to have to move eventually. It's already happened to several communities in Alaska, Council, Solomon, all sorts of different things for different reasons. But basically, it doesn't make sense to fiber to the homes when a home's going to be disappearing. Right. Fairly soon. Or if it's a migratory culture where, they're only there for like a certain season or something. And we need to embrace those complexities, because there's not one solution. And so what I try to do is strategize. And this is where I've been very impressed with, actually everyone in this room. You got to get that long-term goal of what you want. We're in a situation right here. There's a window where money goes directly to tribes and your capital costs are basically zero. So this is when you build the expensive yet long-lasting stuff. This is where I put in the fiber, preferably the middle mile. Fiber to the home's great, but if you don't have solid middle mile, then this is the time to probably do it. This is where you put in towers, and you don't put up, I'm so sorry, the guide towers that are holding up like one cambium radio, like great, no. No, this is when you want to build something that's going to be able to be one of your main producers. Like I think Jesse and Justin pointed out. Don't worry, Dion, I'm sure you pointed out things too. But this is where Justin and Jesse mentioned, like, your revenue generation isn't going to be from your population. Your revenue generation might be from renting space on a tower. And so making sure that you have those opportunities and you're looking for those funds, because we do live in a world where we need to at least try to zero out one way or another. So once you have that long-term plan, okay, this is what I have in this one window where I get to control where the money goes, and I can start building those things that'll be long lasting. Put the pipe in the ground, put the conduit in the ground, and shove some fiber through it. And I'm saying for this as head of an organization that's known for fixed wireless solutions. Nah, I barely wrote any of that. You want fixed wireless solutions, however, they're much cheaper. They're between 2 to 12% of the cost that I've seen for people who are making these mixed networks. And if you want to find funding elsewhere, that's great. But if you want to find funding now, you just gotta know that you can't, under the rules of this game for the NTIA grant, you can't have two different parallel systems that are going to be connecting this one home. I can't justify a wireless and a wired solution, a fiber to the home solution to reach this one home. So I have to figure out how to break that up. And this is something that you want to build, but remember, you can use any pipe to connect that to the World Wide Web. So this is where I see a lot of last mile solutions being put in when there are situations where people need connectivity now, and either funded through federal grant money or not. You can connect it to any pipe. You can do the LEO solution. You can do the OneWebs or the Starlinks. If anyone can tell me how I can get Starlink to let me hook up a whole private LTE network, I'm listening. OneWeb will sell enterprise though. And then you can have that Band-Aid. I love me my LEO, but I don't see that as a long-term solution. At least I'm not counting on it. I'm not betting my dog on it. But it is something that I think will get us through the year or 2 years that we need in order to get fiber to the home or to get fiber to the community. And the other part of it, strategizing wise, is it's great if you own the infrastructure to the end of your reservation. You control that pipe and you can connect any pipe to it. And this is where the state initiatives might come in, where you try to get redundant pipes to you. But the fact is there's only one group owning the pipe into your reservation. You are still beholden to them. And I have recently seen this, and I have never seen this before, where a middle mile company was trying to charge a tribe to deliver service to their pipe, but also to get that to the nearest city. But then they had to pay from the nearest city to another city. So they actually had two backhaul bills. I've never seen that before, to two different companies. I don't know what to do with that. But I do know that you want to get to an exchange point. You want to get to one of the internet hotels where you basically can shop around from 5 different wholesalers legitimately, not needing an open access network, because not everything is an open access network, even though they are called that.
That's true.
And lastly, with that overall strategizing, make sure it's designed around you. Some of the weirdest places, like, you don't just want to build transit with one of your partners who are putting in long haul fiber. You need handoffs. And if there's only a handoff every 50 miles, how is that helping you connect people if you can only tap into the line every 50 miles? And it's still a long haul, a trek to get it to your communities. So get that overarching plan. We're no longer playing checkers. It was nice when it wasn't nice. 3 or 4 years ago, there wasn't that much interest in tribal broadband. You had a lot of people, giants really, who have been fighting that fight for like 20 plus years. But now everybody wants a hand in. So now we're playing chess. You got to think about the federal monies that you're getting. I don't think there's going to be much federal monies given directly to tribal broadband after this, after another year. Things will go through the state. So you're going to you want to see what kind of relationships you have within the state and what you can get built through state money. And then you're going to have to see, like, okay, what can I pony up and what's going to be my long-term solution for reliable backhaul? Go ahead, go with the LEO solutions, go with the, you can have the geos and like just deal with the latency issues or whatever, although it's mostly maxed out, but have a long-term plan to get a pipe that you control to an exchange point, because I'd rather be buying my backhaul at Costco than at my local liquor store. I can't tell you how much I pay for this.
There's the teacher.
Awesome.